Is it a struggle? Yes, we have to realize our strengths and our weaknesses. Hi, and welcome to Why Not? And I'm your host, Janice Newman, helping others to reach their goals by interviewing inspirational guests with interesting topics. And tonight we have a wonderful guest that we're interviewing. His name is Jose Shorty Torres. And if a lot of you are out there in the MMA world, he is a seven-time MMA champion fighter. Okay, and the title of this show tonight is called Fighting MMA Style. Welcome to the show, Tori. Shorty, how are you?
Oh, that's it. We gotta fight. No, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure. And I'm happy to be on. Hopefully I can inspire a few people and hopefully some can relate to me and my upbringing.
Oh, I'm sure you can. Now, I want to start off. How did you even think about doing this? That's not, parents normally tell their kids, do not fight, do not fight, do not start a fight or anything like that. Don't beat anyone up, shake hands. But you're into fighting and you started at a young age, I thought.
I was never really into fighting. Even still now, I'm just good at it. My father was a goon in a gang, and naturally, he came home. Either he beat us up because we were just bad kids, or he was very angry and we were in his way, and we just got beat up for no reason. So naturally, we had to learn how to defend ourselves. And my brother is also 8 years older, so while being kids, I'm the youngest one, and I have to learn how to defend myself against, if my brother's 16, I'm 8 years old. So it's a whole different
Okay.
age gap and definitely size difference. And then just growing up, because I had, in a sense, a very aggressive or fighting family, um, I ended up always being intrigued by, TV, Power Rangers, Dragon Ball Z in the 90s. That was huge. A lot of violent
Right.
shows that involved fighting. So Ninja Turtles really got big then as well. So for me, I always saw shows like that. And my
Mhm.
father always made me watch Mike Tyson fights, Pacquiao fights, all these
Wow.
boxing, things. And because I started karate when I was a kid, my mom's like, cool, let's keep you in this and let's keep you focused. And my brother was, very athletic, but never really
Mhm.
stuck in school. So my mom's like, no, you know what? I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to focus on you. She never let me quit. She never let me leave the gym and just kept on adding sports. So I was always a very athletic child. And so she taught me a lot of independence, but commitment. And so I ended up, in a sense, being stuck in the sport, no matter how many times I wanted to quit sometimes, but I ended up getting a lot better from it. 16, joined an MMA gym. And
Mhm.
years later, I mean, I just listened to my coach and stuck with it. And I'm at where I'm at today, 29 years old, 7-time MMA world champ, get to travel the world, and and in a sense, have my own foundation to help my neighborhood and inspire people around me.
Right. Oh, I met your mom, and she's such a beautiful woman. And she is definitely your number one fan because that's all she could talk about is you. So I know she's your number one fan. And that's inspirational in your mom inspiring you to do that and making sure that you kept going on at it. So now I'll get to your foundation. Now you started in like 16 or 17 before you start really get into the fighting. What was your first martial arts technique? Like, was it karate, taekwondo? Do you have a mixture?
So I started at the age of 4 years old with Shotokan karate, and I was actually the
Four?
very first. Yeah, 4 years old.
Wow.
So I've been at it since. My mom never let me quit, and I ended up making a promise to the martial arts teacher there. I guess she saw potential in me, and on her last day there, she's like, "Hey, promise me you won't quit until you get your black belt." I was like, "Okay, promise." Yeah, I'm 4 years old. I love the lady. She's awesome. Little I know, she had cancer, and she ended
Oh,
up passing away, I believe, maybe 2 weeks later from cancer. And
wow.
so my mom's like, well, you got to keep that promise. So every time I wanted to quit, she would bring that up. And I'm like, fine, okay, I'm doing it. So eventually I did get my black belt. And in Chicago, especially in the South Side, a lot of the kids during their teenage years would, meet women or start messing up in school, join gangs, do this and do that, hang out
Mm,
with their friends in the streets. And my mom just kept me in the gym. So I
mm,
ended up sticking to it. And at 16, I ended up transitioning to MMA. And that was, I'm 16. You start to experimenting in life. You start to become a rebel. You start to do a lot of crazy things.
mhm.
And MMA, in a sense, kept me out of the streets and really I really do say saved my life.
Wow. Very inspirational. Yes, definitely. So at 16, you transition into that. Now, at that point, were you starting to do like amateur meets or matches at that point, or you were still just dabbling into it after 12
So
years, I guess, in it?
in karate, I traveled the nation, doing national tournaments. And
Hmm.
luckily I was good enough to be able to, travel the world to compete and do all these things and even medal in some of the tournaments. But then when I turned 16, my coach he's a very physical person. So he's like, you're gonna learn through experience. So I'm gonna have to put you in amateur fights, whether it's Muay Thai, kickboxing, all these different
Hmm.
styles. You want to be an MMA fighter, it's mixed martial arts. You can't just practice MMA or like, how we do it. A lot of gyms still today, which is surprising. They'll have a wrestling day, then a kickboxing day, then a boxing day. Well, there's no
Hmm.
transition there. So he, as an amateur, would make us be really fond of one style and then
Okay.
eventually put everything together. And so I got to travel the country and eventually the world, Pan
Hmm.
American Games. I was a two-time Pan American gold medalist in kickboxing in Brazil. Got to win the Czech Republic Open in Prague. So all these things I qualified for after winning national tournaments, and it just got me a lot more experience, and then experience traveling the world and seeing different cultures, different religions, different people, different just everything. And it's a crazy but very very interesting world out there, and I say crazy in a very positive way. Open
Okay.
minding, an open minded thing where it's like it's different, and I like that. I appreciate that, and the MMA again has done a lot for me, and it's taught me a lot of morals as
Okay.
well.
Now, when you're at 16, what ages are you competing against? Like, are these grown men that have been fighting for quite some time, or were they your same age in the beginning? Who are your competitors?
It depended. If it was a tournament that had the actual, paperwork and rule set sanction
Mhm.
stuff, then I fought people around my weight class and around my age, and at least not worse comes to worse experience level. So, when I was 18, I'm an adult technically, so I can compete against someone who's in their 30s. But as long as they
Ooh.
have, let's say I'm maybe 1-0, then
Mhm.
if they're around that same record, 1 to 3 fights, then they'll make it fair enough. They're like, all right, cool, you're gonna fight him. Doesn't matter what the age is, it's just the experience. So but as when I was 16, again, my coach was a very physical person and he wanted
Mhm.
us to learn from experience. So he's like, Shorty, fight this guy. I was like, this guy is 170 pounds. And at the time, I'm maybe 130,
Wow.
140, and I'd fight them and win, So,
Okay.
and he would try to prove the point because, especially back in his day in MMA,
Mhm.
there wasn't any weight classes. Small guys fought heavyweights, it didn't matter. So you just had to figure out a way and adapt to survive to win, just like a street fight. So,
Okay.
um, for me, I competed against anyone. I think that's also why I have a Napoleon complex and never deny a challenge. And I'm like, the bigger they are, the harder they fall. And for me, I love watching the giant tree fall. So, I'm a shorty at heart, but as a professional, there's weight classes
Mhm.
that has nothing to do with age, a little bit on
Okay.
experience. But once you get to
Mhm.
certain, I'm ranked top 20 in the world right now in my weight class. And
Okay.
once you get to a certain level, it doesn't matter how many fights someone has. You just got to fight who's next in
Mhm.
line. And that's where it gets a little scary, but that's what makes the best the best.
And it's building up your technique. So it's really not the age, it's really having your technique and your skills down pat to go against someone who's larger than you.
Yeah, and for me, like for example, my second professional fight, I was only 1-0 entering the cage. The guy had
Mhm.
16 professional fights. And
Wow.
I was given it was not the fairest of fights record wise. We look at it straight from paper, but I had so much
Right.
amateur experience that by the time I turned pro, the commission was like comfortable with it. They're like, all right, this guy might not be a professional, but he's done some crazy things that people have never done before. Let's see how he does. And they allowed the fight and I dominated it and won. So it really does, the experience thing is a huge, huge
Mhm.
factor when it comes to, it doesn't matter how big someone is, how strong, fast, whatever, it's a chess match. And if you're able to play your hand or your cards right,
Mhm.
or whatever your pieces right, then you're going to
Right.
dominate the match.
Now, how far do you go when you're in practice? Do you practice as, I won't say as strong as you do in the ring, but pretty close with your energy and fight and your skills when you're just practicing, preparing for a fight?
If we are sparring against each other, because there are
Right.
days we just drill and practice certain techniques, but if we are sparring against each other, I guess it depends the person who you go with. You have some
Mhm.
people who are very comfortable with going 70%. You get hit, but you're like, It's not completely hard, but okay, maybe I should keep my hands up because that shot could have hurt really bad if it was harder, or whatever the case may be. It keeps me accountable. And there's some people that automatically spar like they're fighting. Both have their
Mhm.
pros and cons. Obviously, one of them you get a lot more hurt and possibly have a shorter career, but it also puts you in that real life experience of like, man, if I get hit, this not just fight, but possibly day is over, and
Mhm.
possibly whatever fight leading up to it. So and I've done all of it. I've trained with UFC champions. I've sparred with so many other people. So it just depends where
But
you go with me. I like to flow.
I would think you would need to know exactly what you can do before you get in the ring, even if it's, I hate to say hurting your sparring partner, but you need to know exactly what you can do, don't you? Before
Yeah,
getting in
yeah.
a
I mean,
major ring. Okay.
yeah, but I mean, that's why you have so many amateur fights before you turn
Okay.
professional. You
Okay.
do that real life experience in those amateur cages. You have a little more
Oh,
gear for
okay.
protection, but
Hmm.
that's to see if you're ready for that next level. And after so many fights, your coach will recommend it, and that's your job to listen or not, and then see what happens next.
So, is it really easy to get into this field, or do you find a lot of people wanting to get into the field of martial arts?
Yeah, it's actually extremely easy. There's a lot of MMA gyms that you can just go and sign up to and have regular practices. A lot of people, going actually one of my teammates, Jillian Robertson, started doing a kickboxing cardio class just to get in shape and kind of learn how to throw a punch and this and that. And out of nowhere, she picked it up so much that coaches were like, hey, you should train this style. Maybe you should do this. And now she's in the
Mhm.
UFC as a professional fighter. So you can just join a very regular MMA gym. You don't have to go advance and travel the country and do this. There's a lot in the neighborhood. You just have to find it. And your coaches will help you find, fights. They'll find you things that are gonna be appropriate to you, get you signed up for tournaments and this and that. And after so long, hopefully you build a team that takes you to that next level as a professional, build a team even bigger that takes you to that next level of possibly being a champion one day.
Oh. What are some pros and cons about being a martial art fighter? 'Cause I would assume the cons are probably that lasting effects of the body injuries you might get.
Physical damage. I'm a very different person. My pain tolerance is very high. So I've
Oh,
had fights
yeah.
with a broken hand. I've had fights with multiple cuts, a torn MCL. Actually, leading up to my last fight, that sadly didn't happen. But I was
Mm.
gonna fight with a cracked rib and torn LCL, and that was injured
Oh,
before the fight. And I was still gonna do it.
and
So
they
the
allowed you
physical.
to?
Oh well, I mean, as long as I say yes, it doesn't matter. If I could walk in there, it doesn't matter. So, and
Really?
most of the time we say we're perfectly fine anyway. So most of the fighters kind of lie entering the cage and like, hey, have you had any injuries? No, could I still fight? And just you kind of go in there. So, for us, man, I think the biggest con, yeah, we have our physical damage, but
Mhm.
it's more the brain damage. You forget, you have the memory loss, you possibly get angry a little
Wow.
faster. Um, you depending on how hard you train and get beat up in practice or even in fights, you obviously have lacerations and physical stuff. But we're probably taking a day away from our life every practice we take, so you never know.
Mhm.
And this career is not a long one, but neither is this life. So that's why
Okay.
you got to enjoy it while you still have it. But the pros are obviously the fame, money, if you make it to that point. But it's honestly, and I look at it more from a motivational side. It's not the goal that matters; it's the journey. And to say you're an MMA fighter and really trying to
Mhm.
accomplish whatever goal it is,
Mhm.
but as an MMA fighter, it's a cool thing because for sure not everyone can do it. Not everyone can get
Okay.
punched in the face and still have a smile on at the end of the fight, no matter how they look, win or lose.
Mhm.
But there are a lot of cons as a professional because
Okay.
MMA, you don't get paid as much as boxing. So a lot of the
Oh.
fighters, they still work part-time jobs. Some of them still work full-time jobs if they have kids. So you don't make a
Wow.
lot of money. We rely on sponsors, people supporting us,
Mhm.
businesses to rely on. And two, if you are a person like me, I travel. I'm 100% dedicated. My mom is alone at her house in Chicago, but I'm in Florida training. So for me, I
Okay.
lose quality time with people. I lose time to possibly make a relationship, build a family. I lose
Mhm.
time to, in a sense, socialize and live a youthful life, because I'm 29 years old. So there's a lot
Right.
of sacrifices, but in almost anything you want to do, obviously this with the interviews, anything you want to do, there has to be an equal, if not greater, sacrifice to accomplish your goals, and that's just part of the process. It's life.
Okay. Now, besides mastering your career in the martial arts and your skills, don't you need a personality possibly to do this? Like, I would assume you have television interviews, or even when you're going against the other person, you have to beef up your talk, I was saying, against the other person to psych them out, right? Or you just can't say, see you in the ring and be quiet, right? You have to have that personality.
When it comes to making money and building fans, 100% you need that personality.
Mhm.
Especially nowadays with social media. I mean, I know fighters that aren't that great or even ranked, but they're ahead of some of the guys who were former champions and this and that, or they're getting paid more because they know. I mean, you look at the YouTube fighters; they're not YouTube, they're not actual fighters. They're YouTube stars fighting, against has-beens or this and that, and make
Mhm.
a ton of money because
Mhm.
these promotions that sign them up, they go, man, these YouTube followers have millions of followers. That's possibly millions of ticket sales. That's possibly millions of views compared to we have this guy who's undefeated, maybe 50-0, phenomenal fighter, but no one knows him. So who really cares?
Oh,
So
you're
you
right.
have you have to promote yourself and you can be the best, especially if it was back in the day, it didn't matter. If you were good, you were
Mhm.
great, and the world was going to find out because that's just
Mhm.
what it is. But nowadays, because of social media, you can fake it to make it. You can talk smack. You can have that WWE personality and build up a fake persona and make it to the top. But I'm not a fan of it. I'm a person that likes to wave, smile, have fun, make jokes, and do my thing. So I'm not a smack talk person. I'm very positive. And I respect every fighter that goes in there, no matter what they say against me or do. But I mean, the same outcome is for me. I'm going in there to try to beat you up and win the fight and go out through my business, and that's it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess that's the main goal is to beat the other person up, isn't it? Uh,
I mean, no matter what, I mean, inside and outside the cage, especially with COVID, doesn't matter if there's a million fans there. And I fought at the Staples Center before; there were thousands of fans, and I fought in arenas that are zero people because of COVID. The same outcome is the same. You have one person on the other side of the cage trying to beat you up, and you have the referee in the middle. And the only two things that can stop the fight are, the referee and the time. So doesn't
Mhm.
matter. I just kind of go in there doing my thing.
Now, when it comes to, like you said, either the referee ends it or the time, um, because a referee, when you go in there, do you put a lot of faith on the ref stopping it if you go too far, or do you pull back if you think you've gone too far? Like, you don't want to go there, obviously, to kill a person. You just want to basically win and make sure they're knocked out or
Um, I've
you have
had
a point.
fights where I've had fights where I've looked at the ref where I'm kind of like, hey man, we're gonna stop this. Like I'm trying to be merciful, because I get it. It's nothing personal. It's business,
Oh,
So if I'm hurting
right.
someone, I want to end the fight. I don't want to end their career, and even worse, possibly end their life. And you hear of fighters dying, whether boxers, MMA fighters, and different combative sports. So it's a very dangerous sport if it goes too far. I've seen people get choked out, and you already know the guy's out, and everyone's screaming at the ref like he's out, he's out, he's out, but the ref is not really noticing it, and it takes
Mhm.
seconds, and some people can die from that. So this is an extreme sport. Every fighter puts faith in the referee because that's our job. We can't stop until the
Mhm.
referee stops it. So no matter what
Oh.
we believe is happening, we
Mhm.
have to keep on going until the referee stops it. But um to a certain extent, if the referee's doing a bad job, the promotion will
Mhm.
find a way to get the fight stopped. So regardless, it is a safe sport to a certain extent. No one's gonna hopefully pass away from anything. But yeah, it's and there's classes for the judges, or excuse me, for the referees. There's courses. They have to have this much experience, all
Okay.
that stuff. So people still make mistakes, but usually they're a lot smaller than what some might believe.
Okay. Now, do you go all over the world competing with different people, correct? Now, is the
Mhm.
rule still the same once you're in the ring? Is it anything goes when you're in the ring, or they do have some rules? Well, obviously, you can't bite like Michael Tyson, but can you do it pretty much anything in the ring when it's mixed martial arts?
It depends on the promotion. Every promotion has their own set of rules. You know,
Okay.
um, Brave, UFC, most of the promotions, the rule set is the same. You can, punch, kick, elbow, knee, slam, submission, choke out, all that stuff. I can break your arm if anything.
Oh,
I can hit you anywhere from the top of the head down to the ears, a little bit of the side, and down. I cannot hit you anywhere behind the head because that's where most people have actually passed away from too many blows to the back of the head, and they have brain trauma. They become brain dead and possibly inevitably die and pass away, which again is a very sad thing in the sport. And that's where the referees are supposed to protect the fighters. Notice that, but sometimes things happen. But and it's very hard to say that. But there's one promotion overseas called ONE FC, and I believe Ryzen does the same. But for example, if someone's on the floor in the States and most promotions, I cannot kick you. The only place I can, in a sense, kick you is the body and the legs. The body is very specific, but that's about it. Overseas at ONE FC and I believe Ryzen, I can soccer kick you. So if you ever see a field goaler, kick the ball, if that's your head, I can kick that. So if you ended up falling on your knees, I can literally kick you shin to face while you're on the floor. So some promotions are different, but again, that's fighter safety and the promotion's job, but it's also our job to keep on fighting at all times.
We talked about recommending this. Where do you see yourself in the future, since being so young? And I know we talked about sometimes your body just gives out after so many meets and things like that. How far do you think you'll be able to go into this career with your body and the punches and injuries it keeps going?
Well, I mean, I have things now where, I definitely, the way I live my life, I don't see myself lasting that long, but that's just my natural mindset, regardless of the sport. So for me, I live for today, and when tomorrow comes, tomorrow comes. So I try my best not to think too much about the future, especially to relieve anxiety and whatever the case may be. But it's the fact of, if I could have a goal with that, I want to be able to go as long as my body can physically and responsibly go and be able to take a beating and practice and train. I'm a person, and my mother taught me to go 100% whatever you want to do. If I'm going 50%, then what's the point? So if my body can't keep up and catch up, then there's no reason to be there. So if my body's capable, I'm doing it. So if that's at 35, then awesome. If that's at 40, great. And if it's at 45, even better. Than, hey, I'm lasting longer than I expected. But sadly, in this life, especially in the sport, nothing lasts forever. So you have to enjoy it while it's there. So for me, as right now, I'm going to go as long as my body can physically do it, responsibly do it. And then later on, I want to be able to own a gym, have my foundation, be able to sponsor some athletes coming into the gym. So where it's, free for a lot of the community. And, we just see where the world takes me, and hopefully other investments work out well. But the gym and to be a coach is my main asset right now. It's something I really want to focus on.
Right. That's what I was going to ask you after this. Would you go into coaching? Would you go into working more on your foundation and helping other students?
Yeah, sadly, I am the only person. I'm the CEO, the secretary, the assistant, the everything of my foundation. I do everything myself, and it's a process. I'm still trying to learn how to build it. And, I personally donate a lot. My website gets, t-shirt sales from me, but it goes straight 100% of the proceeds go to my foundation. So I make no money on it, and I just want to be able to help. So for me, the gym did save my life. I was already getting involved with gangs. I was already getting involved in drugs. I was already getting involved in a lot of bad situations with bad people. I could have been in a very deeper place, just in life, but in a bad place. So the gym saved my life, and I know. And the reason why I started my foundation is if my dad and my brother had the opportunity to join a gym, and not just learn martial arts, but meet positive father figures, meet positive role models, better people, and people who have responsibilities, morals, and work ethic, and just a different family. Sometimes even a more positive family, depending on your time in your life. It would have changed their lives. So I'm trying to give an equal opportunity to not just kids, but teens and young adults as well.
Okay, great. Well, we're going to pause just for a quick second, just to show a little clip, and then we can wrap up the show, okay?
Awesome.
What's up, guys? My name is Shorty, part of the Team 20 Foundation. I'm here with Aliyah, part of the Shy Babe organization, and getting some help here. So we're partnering up with Healthy Hood Chicago and other companies. We're donating spaghetti. We're donating hot meals for the first 100 families that come in. We're doing free COVID testing and vaccinations. And myself, I'm donating about $3,000, $20 to each family of four. So right now, we're feeding about 150 families.
Welcome back. Well, we only have a few more minutes of the show. Give me 3 pieces shortly in like 35 seconds or so, 45 seconds, 3 pieces of advice to give someone who wants to start off in this career.
Make sure whatever you want to do, whether it's this career or something else, make sure you actually want to do it. And if you want to do it, go in 100%. Two, I guess, is once you're in there, know it's going to be tough, but motivation will make you do some crazy things. And I'm pretty sure we can all look back at stuff that we've done and go, wow, I can't believe I've done that. If you are motivated enough, you're going to push through. So make sure you keep whatever desire still fresh in your head. And lastly, have fun. If it's not fun, why are you doing it? So especially if this is going to be a long life that you want to enjoy and prosper, you got to have fun and you got to enjoy yourself every step of the way through all the yin, the yang, the good, the bad, whatever the case may be. Enjoy yourself because nothing lasts forever. And hopefully tomorrow comes and it's a better day and we just keep on pushing forward and have a blast doing it.
Okay, great. And what's the name of your foundation and how many students have you helped out with that?
It's the Team Shorty Foundation. I've helped donate about $25,000 so far to different people around the country and around the world. And I wouldn't say I've helped many students, specifically students, but I've helped donate turkeys. I've helped donate and feed families. I've helped donate toys for tots. I've helped pay for gym memberships. I help sponsored athletes. I've helped high schools with sports equipment. I've done a lot of things. I've helped teach seminars for free. So specifically, I can't say an actual number, but I've donated about $25,000 to people and just facilities all around the world.
Oh, okay. So your foundation isn't just to help kids like learn the martial arts. It's actually helping families doing good, giving back to community and society.
Mm-hmm. Uh-huh.
Oh,
and I want to be the role model to show people that, and it's not for me to show off, but if I'm doing it and you look up to me, hopefully that inspires you to do that because I did with Manny Pacquiao. But if people want to help support, Team Shorty Foundation is the name. Follow it on Instagram, please. And then the website is teamshorty.com. 100% of the proceeds out of anything you buy from the website go to my foundation to help kids, teens, and young adults inside the gym and off the streets.
Oh, wow. That's just super, 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 super. And then just being an inspiration and helping out with the high school, getting people and students that they're not on the street and they have someone to look up to and say, he's doing it, I can do it too.
Mm-hmm.
And it also pays to have people that support you. You had a wonderful coach. Your mom is just spectacular. That helps too. Beautiful.
Thank you very much.
I want to thank you very much. Very inspirational. And what's your record?
Right now, as a professional, 10-1-1. As an amateur, I was 25-1.
Okay. And 2 more things: your height, your weight, and your reach. I'm curious.
5'4". My last weight class was 125, but I'm bumping up to 135 pounds. And I do not know my reach, but it doesn't matter because I'm a brawler and I'm more than likely going to be up and close and personal anyways.
I was wondering about that. I was talking about some people do reach for boxing, but yeah, if you're just in there, it doesn't matter the reach because you're just in there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Wow. Well, I want to thank you so much for sharing about your career, your journey. We wish you the best and looking forward to seeing what comes next. And great foundation. We're going to have that information up there if anyone wants to get any further information about you. Okay.
I appreciate
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for coming on the show. We appreciate you. And this is Janice with Why and Why Not. Thank you. This is Shorty Torres. Have a wonderful evening.